Very good morning to you. Welcome to Mornings with Ken Rosato. Today is Thursday, January 29th, 2026, the last Thursday program. Wow. Of January. Had to think. We'll take your calls at 888-658-0234, 888-658-0234. To kick things off, meteorologist Mike Favetta has the forecast near you.
This weather is brought to you by Audio Nova, your hearing experts, serving all of New Jersey with 13 locations.
Mike, I didn't think it was possible, but it is colder right now than it was 24 hours ago.
And it's going to be colder again tomorrow. This is that
Oh,
awful
joy.
cycle that wants us to. It feels like there have been 39 days in January, not 29 days. It's just this month that never seems to end. And yet here we are with another morning down below the freezing mark, below zero in many locations in northern New Jersey. All of this cold air just reinforcing that chill throughout the next several days. Oh, you see these blobs of orange there in the middle of the country? This is the system that gets going, giving us our nor'easter this weekend, but looks like the latest forecast points it really just toward the coast and southern New Jersey. We'll get to that part of the forecast in just a bit. You in Southern California started off with a little bit of cloud cover and a marine layer this morning, transitioning back to sunshine this weekend. It is the coldest in years tonight as that Arctic air sweeps right down from the North Pole and dives its way in through the Northeast, so extending all the way back from Chicago here, including all of New Jersey. It is the coldest air we've seen in years, with temperatures when you hit about 20 to 25 degrees cooler than average. That's when you typically get records, or hotter than average when you see record highs. Tonight, we're expected to be 35 to 40 degrees below average, and that also includes our afternoon high. So yeah, the record cold is here, and it's going to be quite chilly over the next several days, as the coldest part of this entire winter will be upon us. So anticipate wind chills below zero right down to the coast going in through tomorrow morning, and then for Saturday morning, again, another round of extreme cold. And you can see that 32-degree line going all the way down into the Florida Panhandle. So frosty conditions even along the Gulf. By Sunday morning, you can see it extend down to Tampa. Frost in freeze warnings in Tampa likely by Sunday morning going into the second part of the weekend. So yeah, cold air here, not going anywhere. But the only good news is that this core of the dense cold air is helping to push our nor'easter out to sea. So we'll see minimal impacts for most of New Jersey this weekend, as it will likely just be a coastal system with the beach erosion, the coastal flooding potential, and of course those big waves that'll be battering the coast by the time we get to Sunday, Ken.
All right. Thank you very much, Mike. And a chilly. Wow. This says 7 degrees in Trenton. We have 9 degrees here in northern New Jersey. Burr. Thank you very much, sir. In fact, Pam, let's go out. If you can go to Garden State, mile marker 133.1, 133.1, south of Colonia service area, you will see the issue. So we're doing this live, folks, because we have something that just popped up on traffic for the East Coast right here. So this is 133.1 south of Colonia, Garden State Parkway, Pam, if you could bring that up for us. And you'll see we have, thank you, Pam. Look at that. So you see there's an emergency vehicle coming toward us that flipped around. On the right side, everybody's going into the issue. What that is a crash. It's northbound, north of exit 131. That's at Wood Avenue South in Woodbridge Township. 2 left lanes are blocked. That's what those folks are driving into right now, and that's what they're about to encounter. So that's going to slow things down quite a bit for the folks on or in the area of Woodbridge. So just expect that delay. It just is what it is. At 7:04 East Coast, 404 West Coast, we take a look at the Atlantic City Expressway. Again, they're having issues with icing. So right now they're having the area being salted. New Jersey Turnpike Outer Roadway, northbound entrance ramp at Interchange 11, Garden State Parkway, Woodbridge, all lanes are blocked. So that is connected to the Garden State issue that we just told you about. So it's New Jersey Turnpike and Garden State, both being impacted at the same time. Just beware of that right now if you're in the area of Woodbridge. Garden State Parkway has another issue right now down at Toms River by Toms River Toll Plaza. The left lane is blocked with a crash northbound on the Garden State there. I-78 has a crash east of exit 13 in Union Township. Right lane of 3 lanes and the right shoulder is closed. Crash on Route 42 southbound exit 12, which is Clements Bridge Road in Deptford. The right shoulder is closed there. And we have, another issue on the turnpike just popped up. A crash with injuries on the turnpike. That's on the inner roadway, and that is located, they just refreshed it, north of interchange 12, Carteret Rawway and Carteret, with the 2 right lanes blocked. We take a look at the Hudson River crossings. The Lincoln and Holland are both just reporting 20. GWB right now already starting to get a little bit heavy, as you can see, the upper level on the right, lower level on the left, and we're talking about 30 minutes in right now. Going over to the West Coast in California right now, SIG Alert is telling us we have an issue right now in Lomita, and that's on I-5. If you take a look, it's headed eastbound on I-5. That's the only thing popping up at this early hour in Los Angeles. It's 6 minutes past the hour. As Mike was saying, there is a huge storm headed our way. They call it a bomb cyclone. Others call it other things, but nonetheless, a huge coastal storm is expected to grow into a powerful storm that could dump 3 to 6 inches of snow over much of New Jersey. Although I'm giving numbers. Mike would tell me don't give numbers yet, Ken, and he's right. We don't know. That could be. That's just what one person at the National Weather Service is saying. It could bring blizzard conditions to the Jersey Shore. Further inland, snow accumulations will probably be a little less, but it'll still be very windy, winds of like 50 miles an hour, and that could cause coastal flooding. So just be aware that it's not going to be a pretty weekend by any stretch. The Gateway Tunnel project may not go on as planned February 6th if President Trump doesn't restore funding. The project would replace century-old tracks and equipment in a train tunnel. That train tunnel has been literally falling apart for about 100 years. And without funding, contractors would literally just have to wrap things up and pack it in until such time that they get funding, which right now, who knows when that would be. So this is what impacts all train service between the northeastern U.S. and points south. Without funding, again, this would be a shutdown. And with those 100-year-old tracks there, who knows how long it could be before we get train service restored in the area. Former reality TV star turned L.A. mayoral candidate Spencer Pratt has taken a shot at California Governor Gavin Newsom over wildfire rebuilding efforts. Pratt posted on X, quote, "We have all seen billions of federal dollars fall into Newsom's bottomless money pit without a single dollar seen by the intended recipients." Pratt's comments came in response to Newsom defending the state's work to rebuild after the devastating wildfires following President Trump's executive order aimed at fast-tracking the process. Here's what the wise asses in California are doing. They've said, we've already issued 1,400 permits. You know what they count as a permit? See, each house might request 20 permits. So if you do that, do the math, that would be like 700 houses or 70, actually, not 700, 70 houses that actually got permits to even start work. And none of them have, because in order to start, you have to have inspectors. So this is a ruse. It's been 13 months, and the asshole liberals in California, because they have to micromanage everything, have done nothing. This is why the president stepped in and said, assholes, step out of the way. I will show you how it's done. Pratt, by the way, is a Palisades resident whose house burned down after the wildfires last January. And up in Sacramento, a tragic story of a family of 4 found dead in a murder-suicide inside a booby-trapped home in Sacramento. It's pictured for the first time, leaving neighbors stunned. David Vallarga, his wife Lindsay, and children 11-year-old Sydney and 13-year-old Colton were all discovered with gunshot wounds inside the Rancho Cordova home Tuesday. Police were called to the home by somebody claiming, quote, "I'm the shooter. I'm setting up booby traps and turning off the cell phone." They believe that was the father. Investigators believe that he shot his family before turning the gun on himself. Just an absolute tragedy. And for all of you who thought that Nurse Alex Preddy in Minnesota was a little angel nurse who was picked out by Border Patrol agents and murdered, take a look at this. Here he was earlier this month when he fought federal agents and ended up with a broken rib. The feds knew who he was. This was no peaceful protester, but rather a militant, leftist, radical, anti-Trump man who hated anyone on the right and mainstream. Meanwhile, the Border Patrol agents involved in Preddy's fatal shooting have been placed on administrative leave. The move is standard for officers involved in any shooting. 2 immigration officers fired their weapons, leaving the 37-year-old Preddy fatally shot in Minneapolis during a struggle with agents over the weekend. Preddy was armed with a gun and several extended ammo clips at the time. I know a lot of people who have permits to carry. Nobody carries extra ammo unless they're going to a gunfight. It's possible his gun may have accidentally gone off, triggering the agents to fire at him. But that's what could have started this whole thing. It was not that they wanted to kill him. And President Trump announced that he has dispatched a massive armada toward Iran as the theocratic regime continues its bloody crackdown on its own people, with Trump warning that Middle Eastern leaders could face the same fate as Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro. The president demanded that Tehran agree to negotiate a fair and equitable deal regarding its nuclear program and reminded the regime he was not afraid to use force against it. He then added, quote, time is running out. It is truly of the essence. Iran's government shrugged off Trump's threat. Several sources in Iran say anywhere from 30 to 40,000 protesters have been killed by the Iranian government, something the president said would prompt a response by the U.S. Well, for decades, many in poorer communities have complained that certain people's children had an unfair advantage due to institutional wealth, that is, money left to them by their parents and grandparents. In an effort to level the playing field, President Trump yesterday announced something called Trump accounts. When parents give birth to a baby, they can now open a special bank account for the child.
Under this new program, the federal government will be creating an investment savings account for every single newborn American child with $1,000 to be invested and grow over the course of their life, right at the beginning of birth. Friends, family, employers, and loved ones will be able to add.
Well, the Treasury Department will give the newborn a starter fund of $1,000. The money then gets invested in the stock market and goes to the child when they turn 18. Parents can contribute up to $5,000 a year per account, and their employers may contribute $2,500 a year. If properly invested, many accounts could top $1 million by the time the child turns 28. It could change the trajectory of the person's life, and the money would help American businesses listed on the stock market. Amazon is cutting 16,000 jobs worldwide in its latest round of layoffs. The cuts represent nearly 10% of Amazon's corporate workflow and follow previous layoffs of 14,000 cuts back in October. And a strike involving 31,000 Kaiser Permanente healthcare workers has expanded, with union members demanding better pay. The walkout includes nurses at facilities across the country. Kaiser Permanente says it is working with unions to resolve the issue. And check this out as we go to commercial. This is incredible video of a NASA research plane performing a belly landing after a mechanical problem. Sparks and smoke were visible as the plane touched down without wheels on the runway. Nobody was hurt. NASA trying to figure out what happened, but the good thing is people walked away from that landing. It's coming up on 13 minutes past the hour, and when we return, while much of the nation is gearing up for the Super Bowl, we're gearing up for Pizza Bowl.
Play it like the New York Sirens. Live in the spotlight. Etch your name in lights. Embrace the noise. And when it calls you, turn it up. Get louder. Play it like they'll hear us everywhere. Because this is our team. New York Sirens. Play it big.
And welcome back to Mornings with Ken Rosato for your Thursday live in New Jersey and New York. And now we welcome Los Angeles at 15 minutes past the hour. We will take your calls at 888-658-0234. Meteorologist Mike Favetta has the forecast near you.
This weather is brought to you by Audio Nova, your hearing experts, serving all of New Jersey with 13 locations.
All right, Mike. So I put water outside to freeze it, and it was afraid to become an ice cube, so it came back in.
I make that mistake every time I sit in the car and I go to grab my water bottle and go, oh, it's a block of ice. It's frozen. No water today.
Exactly.
That's how chilly it is. And you've heard the phenomenon, Ken, of lake effect snow, but this cold is going right down to the Gulf. There will likely be some Gulf effect snow by later on tonight into tomorrow. I know. Ridiculous to think about that. Well, we have plenty of cold air in place in the Northeast, but it's that cold that extends all the way down to the Gulf states that even Florida can't escape. And I'm talking like Gulf Coast, Central Florida, Tampa area, down through Fort Myers and Naples. This is cold that is very unusual considering that, yeah, the Panhandle typically gets chilly, maybe a little bit of flake activity once every few years, but to have this amount of Arctic cold heading all the way down the East Coast is very unusual. It's that cold that's promoting the snow to be falling this weekend down in the Carolinas and in Virginia and the mid-Atlantic states. Probably not so much here unless you find yourself toward the New Jersey beaches. But look at the freezing temperatures that go all the way down into the Everglades. Yeah, really cold later on today and into tonight. We'll see that finally abate by the weekend with that cold lifting further to the north. But again, plenty of chilly weather around for the next several days. It's the storm that's still getting going in the west, working its way across the Gulf, picking up moisture, and then redeveloping offshore. So this is one computer model that shows it swing and a miss, going right out to sea by Sunday morning. Limited impacts for New Jersey, again, except for the beach and coastal erosion with the gusty winds across the state and at the beaches. There is another computer model that's very bullish and has been very consistent of keeping it closer to the coast, giving higher snowfall amounts only along the immediate coastline. And then the European model is somewhere in between with a light coating. So still only about, say, 48 to 60 hours away from the first flakes expected to fall, if they do. And there's still this big disparity into how much snow, or if any, will fall here across New Jersey. But I think there's going to be a greater consensus by this afternoon, because it's going to be a razor thin line, Ken, that goes right down, say, the Turnpike. If you find yourself north and west of the Turnpike, nothing, just cold and windy this weekend. But south and east could be some plowable totals, even right to the coast. And that's only a couple dozen miles difference.
It's crazy. Wow, for the first time ever, I'm happy like I'm the guy north of 287. We used to make fun and say,
Right.
"Oh, there's the snow line, 287. It's all those people up there." Now I'm one of those people.
Exactly.
So
Uh-huh.
interesting. So I could actually be preserved. All right, my friend, we appreciate. Well, the important thing is, as long as it doesn't start snowing until late Saturday night, because this weekend is Pizza Bowl weekend. We're going to be talking with Guy Madsen in just a minute about that. So that's the most important thing on the planet is Pizza Bowl. I'm sorry, at church. I'm sorry, I was a priest. Church comes second. Please, I'm sorry. Forgive me,
Pizza
Lord.
Bowl.
All right, we'll talk about that in a minute. My Italian paisan over here, at least half Italian, he will enjoy this next segment we're going to be doing. In terms of traffic, though, Pam will take us to the let's see, New Jersey Turnpike. What a mess this is. Look at this. New Jersey Turnpike right now, we have a big problem with a Oh, they changed why did they do that to us, Pam? That was such a great shot. We had a perfect shot of an accident with injuries, unfortunately. This is between exit 11 and exit 12, Carteret Rawway. Two right lanes are blocked. The other shot showed us perfectly where this was, and for whatever reason, the folks, you could see it in the lower right corner, see the buildup of traffic, but that was front and center. Don't know why they did it. Okay, nonetheless, we also have that icing issue still on the Atlantic City Expressway, both directions. You still have issues around Route 42 by the terminus, western terminus. That area is still full of ice, and they're trying to take care of that right now. Disabled vehicle at Newark International at the airport by the exit ramp at 1 and 9. So the right lane is blocked. Everybody trying to make a flight. It's now backed up on 1 and 9 for about half a mile. Fingers crossed that everybody makes their flights. And then on the Garden State Parkway, we have a crash still northbound, north of exit 131A. That's Wood Avenue South in Woodbridge Township. Two left lanes blocked. You can see that build up there on the right side. We have a crash on Route 42 southbound. That's the same area where there was a water main break yesterday. So I'm wondering if that has something to do with it. But Route 42 southbound exit 12 at Clements Bridge Road in Deptford. Right shoulder is closed there. And we go over to the Hudson River crossings, Lincoln and Holland into Manhattan right now, going to cost you 25 minutes each. GWB upper and lower levels heavy, but moving. As you can see, the upper level on the right, lower on the left. Oh, the lower maybe not moving so well. We're told it's 35 to 40 in. You can see why. It is 20 minutes past the hour. Hey, you folks out on the West Coast, for our next guest doesn't realize we're now West Coast and East Coast, different channels. LA, you are missing out. I know folks in LA love a good slice of pizza, but they eat like pineapple pizza and stuff like that. Well, it is that time of year again. I don't mean winter time. It is time for Pizza Bowl 6. The annual event helps raise money for the Tunnel to Towers Foundation. Dozens of pizzerias from throughout the Garden State, where, by the way, pizza reigns supreme in the whole country, right here, will compete for titles such as A, Best Slice, and This is the Best Meatball. The event is run by Jersey Pizza Joints and takes place this Saturday from noon to 7 at a really cool place, Reds in Carlstadt. By the way, if you're ever visiting from the West Coast, Reds is the place you go before all the football games because it's right by the Meadowlands. It's part of the Meadowlands complex there. Tickets are still available. Joining us this morning is the founder of Jersey Pizza Joints and organizer of the event, our good friend Guy Matson. Good morning, Guy.
Hey, good morning, Ken. Thanks so much for having me today.
I am starving. I actually made, before I went to bed, I made 2 pizza doughs upstairs because, Guy knows my family used to own pizzerias. So I actually, at 10 o'clock at night, I was making pizza dough because I knew I'd be craving pizza after the show today. Tell us about the history of Jersey Pizza Joints, Guy.
Well, first off, you won't be craving it after Saturday. We'll have over 200 pizzas. We'll have over 2,000 meatballs, about 20 platters of food to feed about 550 hungry Jersey pizza enthusiasts. I started a couple of Facebook groups during the COVID lockdown when people were losing their jobs and businesses to bring a community together. And we in Jersey take our pizza seriously. Sorry, LA. Pineapple does not belong on pizza by any stretch of the imagination. And that group has grown from 25 people back about 6 years ago, about 142,000 today. I have a sister group called Sandwich Joints, Jersey Sandwich Joints, and we really compete for the best meatball. And we put polls up in November and December for North, Central, South Jersey. And then at the end of about 25 days, the top 4 vote getters get invited to Bake Off Live at Pizza Bowl. And with that comes the ability to win in your division and then advance to the final with the ability to say that you're the best pizza joint in Jersey and that you have the best balls in Jersey for meatballs, and you get a trophy for that.
I got to say something. Last year, I was one of the finalist judges. As you know, you honored me with that. And I took that very seriously. And those of us, Joe Nolan, who was my traffic guy when I was over at Channel 7, he's now on radio. We sat there next to each other. We couldn't believe how good the finalist pizza and meatball competitors were. And of course, one pizzeria won in both. Pasito's down in South Toms River last year picked up
Correct.
best meatball, and damn it, if his meatball, their meatball, husband and wife, was not the best, Mom, I'm sorry, the best meatball I ever tasted in my life. It really was. And they bake the meatball. I got them to confess that on my show.
Yep.
And their pizza, the sauce is the sweetest, most delectable sauce I ever tasted. They had only been open less than a year, and they beat out pizzerias that were fantastic from throughout
really
the Garden State.
Yep. Big name pizza joints on any given Saturday. This is the only bowl being played in New Jersey this year for anybody who's followed the NFL and the Jets and the Giants saga, which is hopefully on the upswing. We are the only real thing that we could celebrate on Pro Bowl weekend, the weekend between the playoffs and the Super Bowl. There really isn't a Pro Bowl, so it's Pizza Bowl weekend. And I'm happy to say Pasito's got back in this year with a chance to repeat. First time ever, one place won both categories for us. And they'll have a chance to repeat this year. And as you mentioned earlier, we do this as a benefit for Tunnels to Towers Foundation, who, pay off first responders lost in the line of duties mortgages, build smart homes, house homeless veterans. We're proud to say we raised over $23,000 last year. We're looking to try to get close to that, if not past that this year. And it's really an exciting time. We've got the fire trucks outside, the bagpipers. And as of right now, I can announce Dave Davies of the Kinks, which is a rock and roll Hall of Fame band, will be at Pizza Bowl. So I'm making that announcement here. He's in his 80s. He's still very spry, and he'll be at Pizza Bowl joining you as a celebrity judge in the final round.
Oh, this is exciting. Talk about, we have some other too, some other really cool groups. You got and we don't mind mentioning the other stations. You got News 12 is going to be there. Jersey 101.5. Guy Travelise, he's going to be there. Great guy. I love him. You have DJ Tunis, Ralph Tunis,
Uh,
who's a longtime friend of mine. And then talk about your house band, who's there every year. Talk about them.
yeah, we have an official band called Aloha Monkey, and they actually wrote our anthem called Jersey Pizza Joint. And we play it repeatedly throughout the day because it's a really catchy kind of a beer song, if you will, to celebrate all things Jersey. In fact, there's a reference in that song about California putting a topping on the pie that just doesn't belong. They've been with us. We celebrate mom and pop small businesses. We try to, focus our attention on Jersey homegrown bands, DJs. So we have two bands. Mark Burns is our opening. He'll kick off the opener, and then followed by Aloha Monkey, or main act, and DJ Ralph Tunis. But Eddie Brigatti of the Young Rascals, another rock and roll Hall of Famer, has been with us 2 years, will be again. So really, we'll have two rock and roll Hall of Famers present at Pizza Bowl 6. We're thankful for your participation, your endorsement,
Hi,
and we look
Guy, I'm going to
forward to.
pause you 1 second. Look what I did on the screen for you. We created a QR code for people to get tickets. Look at how fancy schmancy we are. Look at
Wow,
that.
wow,
Isn't that big
I'm,
league? So
I'm
point your
loving it.
phone right now. Point your
Um,
phone and you could go right to the site to buy tickets. Guy Matson, founder of Jersey Pizza Joints, the man behind Pizza Bowl 6, this Saturday, Reds in Carlstadt, noon to 7. Thanks for coming on. I love you, and I will see you Saturday.
I love you too.
We're
Look
coming
forward to
right
seeing
back.
you. Take care.
Play it like the New York Sirens. Live in the spotlight. Etch your name in lights. Embrace the noise. And when it calls you, turn it up. Get louder. Play it like they'll hear us everywhere. Because this is our team. New York Sirens. Play it big.
Very good morning. 30 minutes past the hour, Thursday, January 29th, 2026. Welcome back to Mornings with Ken Rosato, live on the East Coast and the West Coast. Meteorologist Mike Favetta has the forecast near you.
This weather is brought to you by Audio Nova, your hearing experts, serving all of New Jersey with 13 locations.
Let me just say, for the folks in Los Angeles right now who are watching on our LACA channel on LACA, it is 50 degrees in Los Angeles while it is 6 degrees in Trenton.
6.
So you could rub it in, California. We may not like your pineapple pizza, but we sure prefer 50 over 6, even if people who are cold weather enthusiasts.
You know, they won't serve it. They won't serve it at the local pizzeria. When the movers were moving us 3 months ago into the new house, I got them
Oh, no.
pizza, break for lunch. And he asked for pineapple on the pizza. I'm like, all right. I mean, kind of threw up on my mouth a little bit, but sure, I'll try and
Nope.
order it. They wouldn't order it. They would not put it on. They said, nope, sorry, we
If
don't do
you
that.
If you mention it at the pizza, I'm not kidding.
Mm,
If you mention it at Pizza Bowl, because I've been there now five times I've been there.
okay.
It's like the fight among Italians between sauce and gravy. You mention pineapples on pizza, you will get physically carried out of the joint. There's 200
Sure.
pizzerias there, and they are serious as a heart attack about their pizza. That's not even a joke. You can't even say it.
Mm-mm.
And just
No.
by the way, one of the reasons why it doesn't make sense is tomato provides the acid contrast to the cheese, which is high in fat. So there's already a balance, a yin and yang balance on pizza. You add pineapple, now you're increasing the acid count, the acid level. It doesn't make, I know it's sweet, but it's also very acidy, and it doesn't make for a good combination. Well, Pam says, what about Hawaiians? Hawaiians have poi. Okay, they have their own wonderful food. They don't need to destroy good old Italian pizza. I'm just saying. I'm sorry. Thank you, Mike, for indulging.
No, it was interesting. I think there goes our show from Hawaii, the one that we were trying to do in Waikiki Beach. That just went out the window. But we're looking forward to just anything above freezing. We'll take baby steps, Ken, because we start off this morning with so much cold weather. We are right down in the freezer, feeling like it's below zero, and this record cold lasts through not only tomorrow but even into Saturday, with those temperatures 35 to 40 degrees below normal, all the way down to New Orleans, Louisiana. Extreme cold, even along the Gulf states. And I think places like the Carolinas, Charleston, for instance, Savannah, Georgia, actually getting accumulating snow with this storm. So there it is across Oklahoma. This is the storm setting up for this weekend, diving down toward the Gulf Coast, picking up some moisture. Here's the high, blocking the cold air and keeping the storm far enough out to sea that it really impacts the mid-Atlantic and yes, even the South, but it zips too far to the east, like literally just grazing us, missing us by 150 miles, and places like Cape May, maybe picking up a light accumulation south of Atlantic City, but beyond that, I think it's primarily going to be a fish storm for east of New Jersey. Again, big impacts down south. Richmond, Virginia, picking up more than a foot of snow. I mean, a lot of really impressive snowfall totals that'll be occurring later this weekend, specifically Saturday going into Sunday. Here in New Jersey, it's all about the cold and the wind, and out west, after your cloudy day yesterday, you're back to sunshine today. We'll talk more about your forecast in Southern California, Ken, coming up in a few minutes.
All right, Mike, thank you very much, sir. Bitter cold, by the way. Yeah, the temperature now in Trenton is 7. We're up to 7. Ooh. And we are 6 degrees down by Cape May. And we are 7 degrees also in Vineland. All right, Mike, we'll check back with you nice and warm, hopefully, in the studio in just a little bit. In terms of traffic, look at this mess that we have right now. This is Garden State Parkway northbound, north of exit 131A, Wood Avenue South in Woodbridge Township. All lanes are still open, but this is due to a crash that is located in the right lane just up ahead, but apparently it's only occupying part of the right lane. That's why they're keeping all lanes open. But look at how slow that belt is. And in fact, 15, 20 minutes ago, that belt was moving just fine. So that's what you have right now. Again, that is by Woodbridge Township, Wood Avenue South, Garden State Parkway 131A. We have a disabled vehicle, Newark Liberty International, by the ramp to 1 and 9. So people on 1 and 9, that's right near the brewery. If you're headed into Newark Airport, you're going to encounter this mess. It's now backed up about half a mile trying to make your way to get your flight. Good luck with that. You have a crash water main break on Route 10 eastbound by Microlab Road in Livingston. Can't get a camera shot on there for you, but all lanes are closed. Again, Route 10 at Microlab Road, Livingston, a water main break impacting that area. Atlantic City Expressway, both directions from the western terminus, Route 42 in Washington, to Atlantic City Convention Center. That whole area is iced over. They're trying to salt it, so please give yourself extra travel time there. And on I-78 eastbound, there's a crash east of exit 13, Route 173 Union, with a right lane of 3 lanes and the right shoulder closed. Hudson River crossings right now, it's 35 at the Lincoln, 30 at the Holland. We look at the GWB upper and lower levels, pretty heavy this morning. The lower level on the left, upper on the right, both are going to cost you 45 in. Well, there's a lot of conversation and a lot of confusion, unfortunately, around childhood vaccinations. Research showing that childhood vaccination numbers in the Garden State are actually down. And joining us this morning is Margaret Quinn, who is a doctor of nursing practice and clinical professor in the School of Nursing at Rutgers University, to help break it all down. We say good morning to you, Dr. Quinn.
Good morning, Mr. Rosato. How are you this morning?
Very good, doctor. Thank you. And I know that with the numbers of vaccines down, of vaccinations down, we also are seeing spikes in things like measles, et cetera. Whether there's a direct link, or it could be because certain religious communities don't want to get the vaccine, et cetera, and they're growing in number. That's neither here nor there. The problem is it's a public health concern.
Correct. We're very concerned about what's going on right now. When the year started, the Health and Human Services Division and the Centers for Disease Control came out and said that they were changing some of the vaccines from being required to recommended. And that sent some confusion around the providers like myself as a pediatric nurse practitioner, as well as our physician colleagues, as to exactly what do we tell our families and our parents. And that it's really been a lot to unpack as we've been watching this change just about every day. Just the other day, they came out with different suggestions, and now we're learning that over 28 states are not agreeing with the new recommendations. In our area, New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, Pennsylvania, we are not following what the HHS is saying. So it's making some confusion for parents, for schools, for providers, and it is concerning when we see what's happening in, say, South Carolina with the measles. Very concerning. We don't want that to happen again here in our area. So we do have to keep our families educated, and we need to keep the lines of communication open.
Yeah, and just for clarity's sake, states have the right to superimpose their own rules on things like this. So that's always been the case for medicine and things like that. It's usually the federal government usually gets itchy about it if it's the opposite. If the federal government is telling you you must take a vaccine and the state says we won't, that's when it becomes a bigger argument, because then the states around saying, hey, how are you need to do it. New Jersey and New York and Connecticut requiring that the parents make sure those kids do still get all the vaccines. The federal government's like, do what you want to do, because what they're trying to say is want to leave it more in the hands of the states and the parents. And what the federal government has said is they're trying to align more with Europe, because Europe requires fewer vaccines as well. So they're trying to line it up, but they're not saying don't get the vaccines. I want to make it clear, but I think that's their fault for not clarifying that. The federal government never said do not get the vaccines. They're simply saying talk to your provider. It's up to the state. It's up to you and your provider. But I think that needs to be driven home more.
Exactly. And it's also adding a level of confusion, right? Because if we're saying here in New Jersey, you need to get these vaccines for school, we now have parents saying, yeah, but the federal government saying we don't need them. So that's adding an extra layer of confusion, even going in the opposite direction, like you were just talking about. So that's where this is adding some confusion. And we really need to be talking to our parents about this.
Yeah, and it is there's no reason for the confusion. It could have just been taken care of a little more carefully with better explanation. I mean, even if Dr. Oz had said something along the lines of, and far be it from me, I'm not a medical professional, but if he had said something like, listen, we're not telling you not to get this. We're saying just if you want to keep doing what you're doing, that's fine. We're just telling you we're not going to mandate it from this end. If it was something as simple as that, I think that would have cleared things up so much more. Is it me?
Mandates, suggestions, recommendations, requirements, all the words can be used interchangeably, and that's what's making this so confusing.
Yeah. Yeah. And bottom line is this, look, if you're there is it's only anecdotal evidence that has been disproven and debunked many times over about vaccines causing issues. There is no
Mhm.
concrete evidence and concrete proof. I think as a medical practitioner yourself, a nurse practitioner, and by the way, just so that people don't get confused, doctor of nursing, you that means that you can teach nursing, right? You can at the university level, you can teach and certify other nurses. But you're not an MD, but you're an NP, a nurse practitioner. So I want to make sure everybody gets it, only because I have PAs and NPs in my family, and I always want to make sure that everyone understands the title. But yet you are still doctor because you have a doctor in nursing. So I know that I probably just confuse things even more. What
All good.
vaccines well, but yeah, just so you know, I get it. What vaccines would you say are what are the ones that right now the federal government kind of pulled back on that you're saying that we really still should make sure the kids are getting? Is measles among them?
No, measles is still definitely required for all 50 states, and all the states are agreeing with that. The ones they took away are hepatitis, they didn't take away, but they're not requiring anymore, are hepatitis
Yeah.
A and B, which is concerning. The new RSV vaccine, as well as the meningitis vaccines. Now, those are vaccines that we give our teenagers, meningitis A and B. We give those to our teenagers. They are at the highest risk for getting meningitis. And now they're making those a recommended, not required. And that is so concerning. I've taken care of children with meningitis. I've taken care of children that have passed from meningitis,
Yeah.
all very, very scary. So again, in New Jersey, we are still requiring it for middle school and high school, and even some colleges require both meningitis A and B. So that'll be changing over time. RSV, I know
And
you've had.
meningitis. Yeah. I don't mean to cut you off, doctor. We're down to 10 seconds. Meningitis, very painful, awful thing for a kid to get. Just give them the vaccine, for God's sake.
Yes.
We need to have you back on, especially with this bad weather. Margaret Quinn, doctor of nursing practice and clinical professor in the School of Nursing at Rutgers University. We appreciate you. Thank you for what you do as well. And thanks for coming on this morning, doctor.
Thank you.
All right, 43 minutes past the hour. When we come back, News Nation's Elizabeth Pran, host of Raising America podcast, joins us to talk about the sandwich generation. We'll be right back.
Play it like the New York Sirens. Live in the spotlight. Etch your name in lights. Embrace the noise. And when it calls you, turn it up. Get louder. Play it like they'll hear us everywhere. Because this is our team. New York Sirens. Play it big.
Welcome back to Mornings with Ken Rosato. It is now 45 minutes past the hour, taking your calls at 888-658-0234. It is 4:45 in LA right now. Good morning, Los Angeles. And 7:45 in New Jersey. Brr. Meteorologist Mike Favetta has the forecast for your city.
This weather is brought to you by Audio Nova, your hearing experts, serving all of New Jersey with 13 locations.
You know, Mike, there's a reason why Newark, New Jersey, or NERC as they pronounce it locally, NERC is called the Brick City, and it's because of cold days like this. It is cold as
Mm-hmm.
brick.
It is. And the wind, that wind running right down Broad Street, Ken, that will send a chill up your spine. Not so if you're, say, walking along Santa Monica Boulevard this morning with so much mild weather on tap again for California. We've got a beautiful day ahead. Those clouds from yesterday moving east, and we'll enjoy a clearing throughout this afternoon. You can see that futurecast showing all of that clear sky over the next several days. So it's that high pressure that moves in, a nice breeze coming in from the north and west, clearing out the sky, giving you a lovely feel right through tomorrow, as well as the upcoming weekend, Saturday and Sunday. Also nice and sunny. So great weather on tap for the LA area and Southern California. Even by Sunday, I think some of those clouds move into Northern California, and then maybe by the afternoon into the evening on Monday, we could see some more clouds there. All right, big story, the East Coast. And with all of this cold weather that's allowing for the chill to settle in, even colder, coldest yet we've seen this season for Friday. The trouble is this high is kind of parked on top of us, and it's so strong, it's preventing the snow from falling north and west of the turnpike. What happens, though, is the storm is very powerful. You see these dark shades of blue. You see these shades of red embedded. Look at the track moving up to the north and east, the classic nor'easter, but it takes his last-minute dodge to the east as that high pressure kind of pushes it out and prevents any accumulating snow north and west of the turnpike. However, along the coast, along the immediate coastline, like down toward Cape May, Atlantic City, could pick up a few inches or more, depending on how rapidly that snow falls. The timing of this would be early Sunday morning, say after midnight, into about 10 a.m. Sunday, and then the whole system is gone by the afternoon. So it's a very fast-moving system. That cold weather stretches all the way down the East Coast, right through the middle of February, Ken. So the below average temperature not going anywhere anytime soon.
Once again, he turns to me and says below average, but just normal. It's par for the
Unless you want
course.
to
It's
break
been up a
records,
year.
but it's record cold, so you gotta kind of
Yeah.
we'll play with the words.
This is true. All right, Mike. We'll check back, my friend. It is chilly 7 still, by the way. Let's say balmy. Makes it sound better. Balmy. 7 degrees in Newark, New Jersey right now. It is 10 degrees in New York City, down to Atlantic City, 5. We have 5 in Atlantic City, and 6 degrees in Cape May, 7 degrees in Vineland. There you have it. Northern New Jersey right now, 9 degrees, warm spot. In terms of traffic, let's go over, if we can, let's go over to the New Jersey Turnpike. This is by interchange 12. You can see icing by that exit ramp there off to the left. So everybody's being detoured off toward the right. You're not allowed to get onto the ramp. You can see that off to the left. Pam said, "What is that? What is that?" I said, they closed the ramp. That's all the ice there. So apparently earlier there was some kind of an incident, and that is a sheet of ice. You're going to find a lot of that on the overpasses and ramps. Just, it'll take you a few extra minutes. Just heed their advice and warnings and the closures and stay safe. That's the most important thing. Again, that's at interchange 12 of the New Jersey Turnpike. They rarely give us stuff from Queens because we're New Jersey focused of the New York tri-state. But if you're headed that way, this is a big impact, a big crash. This is on Lefferts Boulevard northbound by Aqueduct Road in Queens. All lanes are closed and detoured. Now, that is also due to a sheet of ice apparently there. So Lefferts Boulevard is one of them. It's a main drag in Queens. To close that down, that's all the way across. It's like 8 or 10 lanes. That is a big deal. There are tens of thousands of people in buildings that live along Lefferts Boulevard on either side. So again, Lefferts Boulevard is closed northbound by Aqueduct Road in Queens. All lanes closed and being detoured. So this is what we're finding all over the tri-state, people. Please be careful. Atlantic City Expressway closed in patches between Philadelphia and Atlantic City, and that is all due to icing. They're trying to do icing operations or de-icing operations there. We have a water main break, Route 10, eastbound Microlab Road, Livingston. All lanes are closed. Newark Airport disabled vehicle on the 1 and 9 southbound exit ramp at Newark with the right lane blocked. It's going to cost you time getting into the airport. We have a crash on 78 eastbound east of exit 13, Union in Union, I should say. And over by, let's see, the turnpike, we have something else. No, we have something on I-280 westbound. It is just massive delays due to volume and icing east of exit 16E to exit 14E. That's about a 2 to 3 mile delay, but all lanes are open. We go over to the West Coast, to Los Angeles right now. We have issues right now. Of course, it just isn't working for me. All right. Let's say, oh, we do have it. It just popped up. Sorry about that. So in Los Angeles, we do have one incident to tell you about. This is in Baldwin Park. There's a traffic hazard, something in the roadway by I-210 by Buena Vista Street by the off-ramp. And there's a closure on I-10 by Del Mar Avenue. That's in East LA. 51 past the hour right now. News Nation's Elizabeth Pran is a wife, a mom, and host of the Raising America podcast. She joins us today to talk about the sandwich generation. We say good morning, Elizabeth. And by sandwich generation, we're not talking about the people who make ham and cheese.
No, but that does sound delicious. I will say, before I get started on this, Ken, sometimes I look at those weather photos and I think, Jesus wants me to live in the South as a mother because I lived in the Northeast. And if I had to drive my mom mobile around, my car would be living in the body shop. That's all I'm going to say about my driving skills. But I want to talk to you about sandwich generation. I'm a little bit selfish on this one. In my mid-40s, I have parents who are approaching that, and I'm also raising 3 young children. The fact of the matter is that there's 60 million Americans who are somewhere in my spot. They don't have to be in their 40s. They could be in their 50s. They could be in their 60s. In fact, I spoke with a woman who wasn't able to raise her own family because she was stuck in the sandwich generation. So why are we having this conversation? Because by 2030, if you look at these statistics, there's going to be more people older than the age of 65 than younger than the age of 18. There's simply not enough people to take care of this baby boomer generation. We are living longer than we have ever lived. I didn't say we're living healthier. I didn't say we're living more independently. I'm saying that we are simply living longer than ever before. We don't have comprehensive policy in the United States. We don't have a ton of Medicare coverage for memory care, for people who are looking for assisted living. So you have people like me who are in their, income accelerated years. And we have to face the fact of maybe we don't have the savings, or maybe the money we put away for college, we have to take care of our parents. So looking forward, there's this wave of folks who are getting older and older. As I mentioned, we're living longer. We are not living more independently. How are we preparing for this? It's really the big question, Ken.
Mm-hmm. And you know what? And not to you said you were speaking selfishly. I will speak selfishly as a gay man.
Mm-hmm.
I remember about 15 years ago, I had a gay friend in Florida who said the one thing that no one has ever given any thought to is retirement facilities and retirement planning for gay people, because most gays, of course, we can get married and have kids, but most don't. Most don't get married. Most don't have kids. And if you're heterosexual and you have in the sandwich, you have the older and the younger will come up after you. Gays don't have that for the most part. So who's going to take care of us? So you better financially prepare. You better have nursing home care put in. And how about nursing home facilities just for gay couples too? I mean, just a place to be among others of your type. So that's something that has come up. But you're right. Everyone's living longer. I have a 95-year-old dad with advanced dementia. And fortunately, we did some planning and whatnot. So now we have somebody in the home taking care of him. But most people don't have that blessing, and it falls on the family.
But it's still a mental load for you. Even if you have someone who is helping you with your father, it's still something that you and your husband need to talk about, and you may not agree on it, right? Maybe you want him in the house and your husband doesn't. You mentioned something fascinating about being a gay man. So typically about 10, 15 years ago, 82% of caregivers were women, but now because we're having less children, maybe people are more open about their sexuality, there's actually more men taking care of their parents than ever before. And maybe they weren't equipped. Like you said, maybe they're not married. Maybe they don't have children. Maybe they just live in proximity near their parents. The fact of the matter is you're talking about one of the demographic that's leading to the statistics that I'm talking about. There are simply more people who need to be taken care of than there are young people, whether it be man, whether it be that they have less children. And then you talked about assisted living. We know statistically people live shorter lives when they go into assisted living. So maybe at home care. But then you're talking agencies. So these people aren't getting paid very well. It's not a job that people want. So the person who I spoke with is Neil Shaw. He's the CEO of Care Yaya. He is connecting young medical students with people who need care. He's trying to eliminate the middleman because these agencies are essentially taking all the money so you don't have quality caregivers. And he said a lot of these people are facing what would be a Porsche a month, $150,000 to $200,000 a month, because these agencies are costing astronomical prices to get someone inside the home. Maybe you need 24-hour care, so you do two 12-hour shifts. That is a Porsche a month, right? Essentially, it is huge costs on families who, like you said, maybe you just want to focus on living a great life with your husband. This is something that you have to think about. You may have been prepared, but not everyone has that structure in place.
And if I may, that, by the way, if you have a full-time live-in 24, as we did at one point, that's 105,000 in the New York area, 105,000 plus room and
Of
board.
course.
So you better be ready for that. It's a Porsche. You're right. And before, we only have 2 minutes left, so I don't want to mean to shift, but you want to talk about, as I do too, something in Iran right now. Situation is awful. Estimates of 30 to 40,000 protesters killed by the theocratic government there. President Trump says he has an armada off the coast, but maybe too little, too late. And you have a friend who was there or knows people there, right?
She's the first generation. She lives here, and we were working for weeks to try to get in touch with her cousin. Her cousin is a doctor. And what she tells us is that she simply can't talk to us because she fears for her safety. Her colleagues, 5 of them right now, are behind bars for treating people who suffered injuries from the protests. So whether it be a pellet gun, whether it be burns. And like you said, that estimate, right around 36,000, but hundreds of thousands who are injured. We're talking about mass genocide here. She's trying to get in touch with her family. She's the only one over here. And essentially, she said sometimes they'll hold up white cards and they'll talk on WhatsApp or Snapchat, and then they'll delete it because of this blackout. What they're hoping for, Ken, and this is of course just her family, is Western involvement, because they, like her parents, her cousins, her aunts and uncles, were alive when Iran was free. And they're saying what this generation is saying is that they've been exposed to democracy, so they know what it looks like and they're fighting for it, but they're getting suffocated. And I think what we want is to get these
This
stories
is
out. We're going to be, yeah,
right. I'm
we
sorry.
want
I'm
to get
just saying
these.
this is why when I see communists elected in New York City, people need to wake up. We're down to 20 seconds, so I had to cut you there. But host of
Love it.
Raising America podcast, News Nation's Elizabeth Pran, we love when you come on. Pay attention to what's happening in Iran, everybody. And we thank you again. We'll catch you again next Thursday.
I can't wait, Ken.
Likewise. Have a great weekend. 58 minutes past the hour. For those on the West Coast, watching on LACA. For those on the East, ONNJ returns in a moment.
Play it like the New York Sirens. Live in the spotlight. Etch your name in lights. Embrace the noise. And when it calls you, turn it up. Get louder. Play it like they'll hear us everywhere. Because this is our team. New York Sirens. Play it big.
Very good morning. It is 8 a.m. Thursday, January 29th, 2026. Welcome to On New Jersey Mornings. I'm Ken Rosato. We'll take your calls at 888-658-0234 for real. Don't be afraid. Don't be. Sunshine today, a few clouds later. It'll be windy, cold, highs in the low 20s. It'll feel a lot colder than that. And then bitter cold again tonight. Oh, joy. We head to meteorologist Mike Favetta with a check of the Garden State forecast.
This weather is brought to you by Audio Nova, your hearing experts, serving all of New Jersey with 13 locations.
All right, Mike, I am officially donning the bomb cyclone jacket and going into the, may I call it that? Am I permitted? I know I need a
You
permit
are
from you.
absolutely correct. It is a bomb cyclone, rapid intensification. You got to roll up the sleeves next. That's like, within 48 hours of the storm. That's right. That's what people know me in business. You don't even need the closed captioning on to see. You scroll at Instagram and you see the weatherman with the sleeves rolled up. You go, oh no, we're in for it. And yet it's the cold, Ken. It's the cold that makes for this impressive chill. Cold weather advisories posted all across New Jersey through tomorrow, and this of course extends again through Saturday morning, with that wind chill being so ridiculously chilly. -4 your actual air temperature, 10 right now in Hackensack, 11 in Long Branch, yet this is about 10 degrees warmer than it will be tomorrow morning. That's how cold it'll feel. 19 below zero in Sussex. That's your current wind chill. Even down the shore toward Atlantic City, -3 is how it feels. With the wind that's around right now, anywhere from 10 to 20 miles per hour. It's not terribly gusty, but it's just enough to add insult to injury, especially with all of that cold air that's sinking on down. With temperatures today climbing only into the teens and maybe the low 20s. I mean, briefly the low 20s. It'll probably stay at 19 in Mountain Lakes, 20 in Holmdel, and 19 in Freehold. Plenty of chilly weather around. Can't even go 150, 200 miles south to enjoy warmer weather. It stays that chilly going into the next few days. All right, here's the Futurecast, taking you right through the weekend. So we start off each morning very cold. Air temperatures down in the single digits, -5 tomorrow morning in Morristown and 4 there in Long Branch. We only make it to the mid-teens tomorrow as highs. Sussex, you don't even leave the single digits, and that'll be the case as well through Saturday morning as well, with another round of cold weather. Look what happens by Saturday afternoon. There will likely be some flurries that could begin down the shore, and they stay south and east of the turnpike throughout overnight into Sunday morning. North and west of the turnpike, you see next to nothing from this storm. Maybe a flake or a flurry, but even in Sussex County, it's just cloudy. You have to really be down toward Atlantic City and Cape May to tap into any snow, and even still, it's mostly light because the heaviest snow is well off to the east into Sunday morning. By Monday, it's all gone, and we're back to another round of just stupid cold that takes us into next week. So the next few days featuring that bitter chill with the Arctic cold and temperatures that hold in the 20s right through the weekend as that snow falls for some, but just at the coast, Ken.
All right, just at the coast, a la costa. All right, sir. We'll check back. Thank you very much. It is a very, very cold 8 degrees in Trenton, but at least it's crept up from the 6 from when we started an hour ago. We're way up to 8 degrees in Trenton, and it's 11 degrees in northern New Jersey, 12 now in New York City, and it is 10 in Philadelphia. Very, very chilly. Let's take a look, if we can, over at the New Jersey Turnpike. This is right by the exit 12 ramp, the interchange there with exit 12. You could see that the entry ramp is closed. You see that there because of all the ice. So the ice baby, they shut that down. So that means people are being offloaded there onto the I think onto the local road. So I'm sure they'll be probably be detoured a couple of miles to get on at a different point. But again, that's at exit 12. You're going to see a lot of this around because of the incredible cold. What happens is some of the salting and the brine melts a little bit of the snow and the ice. Then the overnight lows are so cold. When you get down to single digits, you could put all the salt down you want. It's not going to melt anymore. So the stuff that was melted refreezes. And that's when you get black ice, you get patchy ice. So just don't assume that, oh, it's been 2 days since the storm or 4 days since the storm. Everything's fine on the roads. No, you're going to get a lot of ice, black ice, patchy ice, because again, it melts during the day, refreezes at night, melts, refreezes. So It is what it is. We have road treatment going on throughout the Atlantic City Expressway, all the way from like Philadelphia to Atlantic City, and that's because of a lot of ice. Again, there are areas elevated on the Atlantic City Expressway, and all those areas are freezing over. Snow removal going on at the Goethals Bridge westbound from the New York side to the New Jersey side. Right lane and shoulder all closed because of that. We have a disabled vehicle. Again, the cameras are all frozen too. They're not working. A disabled vehicle on 287 southbound at exit 39, Route 10 in Hanover Township. The ramp lane is closed there. And on Route 10, there's a whole separate issue, not too close to that, but nonetheless, on Route 10, we have an issue of a water main break. And of course, now it's not popping up on my screen. I'm sure they didn't fix it already. But Route 10, suffice to say, it's in Livingston. It's in Livingston. That's where the water main break is. Right now, your Hudson River crossings, the Lincoln is talking about 35 minutes and the Holland 25 to 30. GWB upper and lower levels slow. Look at that. Upper on the right, lower on the left. Upper stopped. And lower is not much better. So you're talking 45 to 50 minutes in right now via the GWB. Take your time. It is now 6 minutes after the hour. And as Mike was saying, a huge coastal storm system is expected to grow into a powerful so-called bomb cyclone. It could dump a lot of snow over much of New Jersey this weekend. How much, we don't know. Because as Mike was saying, it could go 30 miles further east or 30 miles further west. And it could impact where you are. If it continues going east, you could have a situation where you have like over a foot of snow on Long Island and nothing in New Jersey. It all depends. And we'll know, as he said, within the next maybe 18 hours, we should probably know a lot better where that snow line is going to be. But it could bombard. That's why it's called a bomb cyclone. It could bombard part of or much of New Jersey if it heads a little further west. If it heads east, we could just be looking at wind and cold. So we'll see what happens. Just be prepared for the worst and you'll be fine, right? We still have a lot of winter left. Blizzard conditions possible. Pardon me, for inland New Jersey, though, because of the 50-mile-an-hour winds. And you could have some coastal flooding, too. Just be aware of that. This is not going to be a pleasant weekend either way, even if we don't get hit directly with the snow. New Jersey's code blue alerts activate when extreme cold or storm conditions threaten the vulnerable among us. And during activations, warming centers open across counties to provide shelter and support overnight. The website lists active code blue declarations for counties and their associated warming center locations. Folks in New Jersey who need shelter, please just dial 211, and make sure you tell elderly friends, relatives about that as well. 211. It only works in New Jersey. Ever wonder how to properly measure how much snow you got? Of course, you need to use a ruler or yardstick in an open area away from buildings. You should also measure several locations and take an average. So don't just assume like your Uncle Joey, I'm sure, in Hackensack says, hey, we got 12 freaking feet over here. Yeah, maybe he got a snowdrift, but that doesn't mean that that's the official count. So you go out to the most open, wide part away from the house, away from the trees, measure in a bunch of locations, maybe 10 feet apart, 15 feet apart, and average it. And that's how you get how much snow you may have gotten in your area. Little tidbit. And thank you to Izzy, our producer, for putting that in there to make sure we remind people about that. Hey, the Fed yesterday kept interest rates in the current range, a move that was expected in spite of pressure from President Trump and the criminal probe into the Fed chair, Jerome Powell, after 3 consecutive quarter-point cuts in 2025 and a dozen cuts from Europe in there with their banking system. We just kind of ignored it because Powell hates Trump. That's really what it comes down to. So we all have to pay. The central bank maintained rates in the 3.5 to 3.75% range at its first meeting of the year. Interest rates are currently in what they call the neutral range, meaning they're not significantly restraining or promoting growth, but most Fed officials have projected further rate cuts this year. Jerome Powell is out of office as of May, so hopefully there'll be a Fed chair in there who will lower interest rates. President Trump said it should just come down to 1% because the only people making money right now are the Fed banks. They're making money on you and me. That's it. There's no such thing as overheating the economy right now. Let it go. All right. It is 8:09 and federal investigators raided an election office in Fulton County, Georgia yesterday in a case related to the 2020 vote. Georgia's most populous county, which includes most of Atlanta, was the focus of President Trump's claims of fraud after losing the state's 16 electoral college votes to Democrat Joe Biden, with the official tally showing Trump trailing by just over 11,000 votes. There have been many fraud claims against the county's vote counting, and you'll understand why when we tell you, including their own admission that they certified tens of thousands of votes that should not have been certified. They should have been legally invalidated because nobody ever signed for them. The person at the polling place is supposed to sign off, yet tons of votes showed up at the election counting headquarters. None of them were certified and signed. So those votes could have come in from anywhere. Somebody in a truck in the parking lot could have said, here, shove these in. Yet Democrats in Atlanta still counted them, where you have mostly Democrats in Atlanta, giving Biden the state. There were also incidents such as an election official falsely claiming there was a water pipe that burst by the building, forcing poll watchers to leave piles of votes unattended. And then later, a camera caught a poll watcher pulling out a box of votes from under a desk, thousands of them, and they mysteriously all went for Biden. Every one of them. Remember, it was 10,300 votes or so that pushed the state of Georgia to President Biden, and ultimately could have cost Trump the election, which is why he made that famous call, can you find me 11,000 votes? He didn't mean illegally make them up. He meant, can you recount and make sure that we have all the votes counted for? But of course, that's where Fani Willis got involved, who embarrassed her ass trying to prosecute President Trump, and that all fell on its face and actually got him elected. A woman who is supposed to care for people is instead recommending that others do harm to those with different politics. Virginia nurse anesthetist Melinda Cook encouraged medical professionals to drug ICE agents with paralytic meds on TikTok.
If they're an ICE agent, bring some X-Lax and put it in their drinks. Get them sick. Nobody's gonna die. Just enough to incapacitate them and get them off the street for the next day.
Well, now that nurse is out of a job, Virginia Commonwealth University Health booted her Tuesday. In her video, she urged other medical professionals to stick ICE agents with syringes filled with a fast-acting anesthetic that causes temporary paralysis. She also suggested making a tincture with poison ivy and using water guns to coat the agents. Look, I don't care where you stand politically, left or right. You do not wish harm or do harm to anybody else. Peaceful protest, yes, but don't do that. And for Democrats in New Jersey who think having 900,000 illegal migrants is no big deal, think again. Hackensack School District, having thousands of illegal migrants, discovered they're now 17 million in the hole. And that is because of the sudden influx of all the students unaccounted for that require multilingual education, etc. So yes, it's nice to be able to help everybody who needs help. I'm with you. But it does cost money. And Secretary of State Marco Rubio stressed that the Trump administration does not intend to leave Venezuelan interim President Delcy Rodriguez in power in the long term. He said she will be likely ousted at some point in the future, if not by us, by her own people. It is now coming up on 8:13. When we come back, a local artist you will want to check out. Very special art right here on New Jersey Morning.
Play it like the New York Sirens. Live in the spotlight. Etch your name in lights. Embrace the noise. And when it calls you, turn it up. Get louder. Play it like they'll hear us everywhere. Because this is our team. New York Sirens. Play it big.
Welcome back to On New Jersey Mornings. I'm Ken Rosato at 8:15, taking calls at 888-658-0234. Bitter cold this morning. Meteorologist Mike Favetta has the full Garden State forecast.
This weather is brought to you by Audio Nova, your hearing experts, serving all of New Jersey with 13 locations.
A shameless plug right now, Mike. Warm up your winter. National Hot Chocolate Day is coming up this Saturday, January 31st. The love for
Ooh,
chocolate drinks goes way back. The
wow.
Mayans first made cocoa beverages around 500 BC, which eventually evolved into the sweet, steamy cups we know and love today. Around the world, hot chocolate takes many forms, from spicy Latin American chocolate paramesa to the thick cioccolata calda of Italia.
Uh-huh.
Here in New Jersey, winter lovers can celebrate with some creative twists on the classic drink, like s'mores-style hot cocoa stacked with marshmallows and chocolate, or even spiked versions for adults at Big Snow in the American Dream Mall. Take this as a reminder to stay warm this winter. You like that? Do I get
Ken,
hired?
how did I know? I just made the cafe cacao, the little, cocoa on top of the cappuccino. So, indulging as well. It
I
takes an extra
try.
cup to get around this morning, just the cold air, the dry air. Everybody seems to be getting sick. And of course,
Mm.
Nonna's on the phone saying, "Oh, it's because you went outside." Okay, no, but thank you for your, 84-year-old wisdom. Appreciate that.
Indeed. Always listen to
Yeah.
Nonna.
Always, always, always. Hey, we've got some very cold weather on tap, and yes, a little bit of snow. I will show you a snow map coming up in just about a minute because there's a really good consensus on how close this storm grazes the coast and only impacts the coast, say even southeastern sections of the state going into this weekend. Everybody deals with the winds, though. It's the wind and cold that's going to be shocking by the time we get to Saturday night. Look at those winds up to 40 miles per hour on LBI Saturday night at 11 p.m. 22-mile-per-hour winds early Saturday morning, up to 30-mile-per-hour winds, near 50-mile-per-hour gusts on Sunday morning as that storm rapidly intensifies, the bomb cyclone you've been hearing about, giving us those very gusty winds. So, yeah, it may not snow across most of New Jersey this weekend, but the extreme cold and wind chill will make it feel that much harsher. Here's your forecast wind chill going into tomorrow morning. 7 a.m. on Friday, 14 below zero in Sussex, 20 below zero in Morristown, 10 below zero on LBI. Then we take it through Friday afternoon into Friday night. It's still incredibly cold, down well below zero, including in the cities. And even for Sunday morning, have that wind that makes it feel like 6 below in Newark, 14 below in Morristown, and 7 below in Mount Holly. So plenty of cold weather that doesn't really want to quit going into the next few days. The clear skies upon us today. The storm right now getting going there in the Midwest, and as it works its way eastward, bringing back all of that threat of the snow, especially as we head into early on Sunday morning. Saturday night might have a few extra clouds with the storm working its way up the coast, so plenty of cold air in place. Your actual air temperatures down around zero. Then we start off late Saturday morning with the clouds. You see some flurries getting going at the coast by Saturday afternoon, and here's the worst case scenario: has most of this snow falling, say Tom's River south, like south of 195 by Sunday early in the morning, with so much cold air that it's actually preventing the snow from falling north and west of 287. It's just too darn dry, and the pressure is too high due to that blocking high pressure. So we have all of the snow down toward the south, nothing north and west of 287, and maybe a powdery coating north and west of the turnpike. So that's it. It all wraps up very quickly later Sunday night and pulls away. So the accumulations are next to nothing across most of the state, except if you find yourself after 2 a.m. Sunday. Look what happens down toward Atlantic City. Could be an accumulating snow. Do we get more than a foot? It's unlikely, but still, look at the range. Less than an inch in Tom's River, 2 to 4 in LBI, could be upwards of a foot south of there into Atlantic City. Again, take these numbers, these high numbers with a grain of salt, but that just goes to show you a track difference of 60 miles would move this north. Also, on the other side, a track difference of 50 miles would mean absolutely nothing and just maybe a few flurries for most of New Jersey. So again, this 2,000-mile wide storm, if it jumps just a handful of miles in either direction, would make or break the forecast. That's the point I'm trying to get across. Regardless, it's extremely cold this weekend. That's the bigger headline, especially with the beach erosion and the waves at the shore, and the potential for coastal flooding too. All of those impacts felt at the coast by Sunday afternoon, Ken.
Gotcha. So I see what you did there. Take it with a grain of salt, snow melt salt, of course. And for those who don't
So yes.
realize, yeah, standard salt, regular good old salt, will elevate the temperature, the melting point by about 15 degrees. So it'll work till about what, 18 degrees air
Yep.
temperature. Below that,
90%
regular salt.
effectiveness at 15 degrees above zero. Correct.
That's it. And then beyond that, they do have that special blue stuff. Is it halite or whatever that works to about 5
Oh yeah,
degrees?
the magnesium, calcium, potassium, those are the expensive chemicals. They're like $40 for a little gallon of it. They're very expensive.
Those are the ones
Yeah.
you see at the shop, right, in a container
Right.
this big, and it costs like $250 an ounce. But if you really, that's the stuff you reserve for the front steps so that the people delivering your packages don't break their necks and sue you. That's what you don't do your driveway with that. That's just my little thing. Okay. Or the sidewalk. Do the sidewalk with that. That's good. All right, sir. Thank you very much for that. We appreciate you. Just a couple of traffic incidents to tell you about. Let's go to the Garden State Parkway right now. Look at this at northbound, north of exit 127, which is by 287 and Route 440 Woodbridge. The center lane is blocked, and that's the mess you have. They just changed that camera shot on us again, too. But you could see the vehicles in the center lane blocked, and that's always bad when you have a center lane because people try to get around you on either side. The emergency vehicles are going to have an incident there or an issue there trying to take care of things. Just beware of that. Again, Garden State Parkway northbound by just north of exit 127. We have a water main break, Route 10 eastbound by Microlab Road in Livingston. All lanes closed there. And we have problems now on the, let's see. Let's go over to I-78 where there's a crash. I-78 eastbound, east of exit 13, which is Route 173 in Union. Do we have that, Pam? I think we have. That's the 78 cam. Yeah, that was. I may. There you go. I apologize. So there you go. You can see the car's trying to get off. That's where the incident is, right there, off to the right. I-78. And by the way, folks, I'm talking to Pam and you at the same time. Forgive me if you hear me saying things that make no sense. That's why Pam and I are talking in the ear. She understands what I'm saying. In some strange way, she still understands me. Also, issues on the turnpike at exit 12. We have a crash with injuries at the inner roadway northbound, north again of exit 12. This is in Carteret, 2 right lanes blocked. The Hudson River crossings right now, Lincoln and Holland are both reporting 30 minutes. GWB upper and lower levels, both very heavy. Basically stopped 45 to 50 minutes is what they're telling us. It looks like it might be worse than that. Give yourselves extra time. 22, and we love spotlighting local artists who see the world a little differently, and today's guest does exactly that through her stunning digital photography. Carol Nussbaum is a New Jersey artist who transforms her own photographs into bold kaleidoscopic images to experience photography in a completely new way. We say good morning to you, Carol.
Good morning, and thank you so much for taking the time out to speak with me today.
We're excited. I looked at some of your stuff online. It's amazing work, very kaleidoscopic. I love the designs. So how does it
Thank
start
you.
out? Like what are your original pictures that you then do digital art with that? That's mind-blowing.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And you definitely understand what you're looking at here. I have actually a sample to show you kind of what my process is because I am a photography-based artist, and what I do with those photographs is I take pieces of them and repeat them over and over again to my dog just came into the room. Thought I locked the door.
Nice. That's all right. Bring them on or her on.
Yeah, right. She's a good girl. Anyway, I have a sample of like one of my photographs. This is plastic children's toys. So this is the exact image, that I photographed, and it was a bucket of plastic toys. And then I'm really trimming down what my process is substantially. I'll take a pie slice of that photo, kind of like that, where maybe I get the colors that I want or the dimension that I'd like, and then repeat that pie slice over and over and over again, and then transform it, make sure that the edges aren't visible so you can't see how the pie slices come together, and then eventually what it will look like. Hopefully I have the finished piece here. Actually, I don't. Well, the finished piece looks
like something
instead of
behind you.
instead of little plastic cows, it will look like in this case a floral bouquet. And
That's beautiful.
it's a tedious process, but I enjoy every moment of it, and I have fun because I have a visual in my head of what I think it will look like. And then it's still always a surprise when the finished piece comes together because if it works, it's magical and it's vibrant, and I'm really happy. And if it doesn't, I start over again and I get to go through the entire journey once again. And kaleidoscopic is a great term to use to describe these. And another word is also a mandala, because a mandala is a circular shape that's spiritual in nature,
Hmm.
based on ancient history. There's a focal point. Oh, and there's a black and white one of my images that
Can I
was
step in
taken
one
in.
second really fast?
Oh,
I didn't
sure.
mean to step in. Forgive me. If
No,
you look at
no.
that, now I was a Catholic priest, and that is what we would do the rose window of, the
Yes,
big window over the back of the church because of the spiritual history. That predates Christianity. And that is, look at how beautiful that is. And I think part of it is, doesn't the human brain like repetitive patterns? It's comforting to see
exactly.
repetitive patterns.
Exactly.
So when you see that, it brings you into a sense of Zen. Your work is gorgeous. It is so peaceful. I love it.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, and it's also fun for my collectors or viewers at the gallery shows that I do to kind of figure out what the original image was. I think you showed a second ago the one that I call Polly Pocket accessories, and that was a bucket of the children's toy Polly Pockets hairbrush and clothing and all these little things. And until you know the color, that's a books. There it is. Until you kind of know what it was, you don't see it, but it looks really interesting. And then once you
I would never
understand where
know.
the
I
original,
would
right,
never know that that
it's
was
a fun
children's stuff.
journey.
Carol, I got to cut you only because we're up against a hard commercial break. I need to get your
Oh, sure.
website so people could find out more and where they could see your art.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Well, my website is my name, carolnussbaum.com. I'm also on Instagram at Carol Nussbaum. And I have a solo show. It'll be my third show in New York City, coming up at Pleiades Gallery, which is in the Chelsea district. It's a well-established gallery. It started in 1974. It's a co-op gallery, so there's a lot of really talented people, and I will be there from March 17th to April 11th, Tuesday to Saturdays from 12 noon to 6 p.m.
New Jersey artist Carol Nussbaum, such original creative art. We thank you for coming on
Thank
this
you. Come
morning, and
see
thanks for
me.
being such a good
Thank,
a good part of New Jersey. We appreciate you. Thank you.
thank you very much. Appreciate it.
You bet. And why your New Year's resolutions keep failing, we'll talk to an expert. You're watching on New Jersey Mornings. We'll be right back.
Play it like the New York Sirens. Live in the spotlight. Etch your name in lights. Embrace the noise. And when it calls you, turn it up. Get louder. Play it like they'll hear us everywhere. Because this is our team. New York Sirens. Play it big.
Very good morning. It is Thursday, January 29th, 2026, 8:30. I'm Ken Rosato. Welcome back to On New Jersey Morning. Sun today, few clouds later. Meteorologist Mike Favetta with the full cold Garden State forecast.
This weather is brought to you by Audio Nova, your hearing experts, serving all of New Jersey with 13 locations.
Mike, if Mother Nature had a sense of humor and she were
Mm.
maybe in the mid-Atlantic going like this, we could be in for a blanket of snow. But now it's
Yeah,
merely more of a coastal thing and lots of wind for everybody else.
right. And it's a big problem for, say, South Carolina, even coastal Georgia, places that don't see accumulating snow maybe once every 5 years. And yet this is a big time storm for places like Virginia, even Norfolk or out toward, say, Richmond, plenty of snowfall there. Our forecast, it's all about the extreme cold that will likely set some temperature records later on tonight into tomorrow morning. Our record is 0 at Newark Airport back in 1977. Could come pretty close, especially with those single digits on tap later on tonight for most of the state, even below 0 by tomorrow morning. So the worst of the cold air is later on tonight. It lasts through the weekend, and that's what keeps a lot of the snow off to our south. So here's the high pressure doing its job, keeping our skies clear and allowing for that cold air to invade all of New Jersey. And then with the storm working up the coast, it comes just close enough to maybe impact the easternmost portion of the coastline. And you say you're west of the turnpike, you see nothing this weekend as that storm zips up and out to sea later on by Sunday. So it's a very fast moving system, but it's powerful. So where it does snow, it'll snow quite rapidly. Even the futurecast showing that going into later on next week as well, with plenty of cold air that remains into next week. So we start off February very cold and stay that way. Even by next weekend could have another round of cloud cover and then potentially some more light flurry activity. So the overnight lows down in the single digits, afternoon highs only in the 20s. And then as we head into next week, we briefly get above freezing for the first time. And by then, maybe 11 days. And then we're back down to the freezer beyond that. Again, the shore points, you have the best chance of seeing that snow on early Sunday morning. Could begin as early as late Saturday night and then lasting through Sunday afternoon, clearing with slightly milder weather. 35, Ken, by Tuesday. That's beach weather by comparison.
Well, Tuesday's when I get on my flight, so that's a good thing. Heading
Oh,
south
yeah.
because I've given up. I've given up. Listen, I'm born in New York. You'd think that I would be used to this. No, since I lost half my body weight, and I know you lost a bunch of weight. Isn't it funny? You lose all that weight, and all of a sudden you're cold all the time. Used to be hot all the time. Now I'm always cold. So I've had it. I've given up. Everybody, come down to our place. And we'll put you up. I'll make homemade pasta every day. Mike, we'll check back, sir. Thank you very much. A bitter cold 8 degrees in Trenton. We started 2 hours ago at 6. So in 2 hours with bright sunshine, we're up 2 degrees. There you have it. Seasonal depression time, everybody. We are going to get up to the low 20s, as Mike said. There you have it. In terms of traffic, let's go over, if we can, to the Garden State Parkway. Right now, we have a crash on the Garden State. It's northbound, north of exit 127, and that is in Woodbridge. All lanes are open, but you can see what it's causing in terms of massive slowdowns. That's going about 10 miles an hour right there, what you're looking at. We have road treatment going on both ways at the Atlantic City Expressway. If you're headed to JFK, right now, the parking, we've been talking about this, long-term parking at all the regional airports, but especially at JFK, it's at between 96 and 100% capacity. We tell you that because if you're going to take the time to drive an hour and a half in morning rush or 2 hours to get to JFK, and that's where you're getting an international flight, you better have a reserved parking space because the long-term parking is now all basically full. Go online, reserve a parking space ahead of time before you get there. And then on I-78 eastbound, east of exit 13 in Union Township, the right lane and right shoulder are closed due to a crash. We have delays at the Holland Tunnel now, about 25 to 30 minutes in. That's all due to volume. Lincoln Tunnel is about 35 to 40. GWB upper and lower levels, bumper to bumper. Look at that. Upper on the right, lower on the left. It's going to cost you about 40 to 45 getting into Manhattan. Well, at 8:35, New Year's resolutions are starting to fade, of course. If you've already abandoned a goal or you're struggling to stick with the goal that you have, you're not alone. Dr. Gary Small is the Director of Behavioral Health Breakthrough Therapies at Hackensack Meridian Health. He's a psychiatrist, best-selling author, and one of the world's leading experts on behavior. We say good morning to you, Dr. Small.
Good morning. It's great to be on the show.
Well, good to have you on. As somebody who's, by the way, diagnosed with and have been diagnosed, and I use the artificial light in the morning with seasonal depression. It's especially appropriate that we have you on right now to talk to us. Although we're talking about something different. But why do so many people fail with their New Year's resolutions? It seems that everyone loves to make them, and very few people love to follow them.
There are a lot of reasons. I think one of the biggest reasons is people set goals that are unrealistic. I'm going to lose weight. I'm going to run a marathon. And it doesn't really get down to the specifics, and it becomes daunting. They set themselves up for failure.
Yeah. So you could say I'm going to lose weight, but you need to address what the root issues as to why you may have gained weight to begin with. Is that part of it?
Of course, you want to ask yourself, why do you want to change? What's motivating you to change? Now, when we make New Year's resolutions, usually we don't give it all that much thought. It's New Year's Eve, which, by the way, is a big pressure for many people who have described it as all the worst Saturday nights rolled into one, because you have tremendous expectations. And they haven't really broken it down as to the reason that they want to set a goal or resolution. And now we're almost into February. So people are feeling, oh, I didn't get far enough. Now, what do I do now?
So is it too late to restart a resolution, but just to do it the right way?
It's never too late. And it really involves some self-exploration. Let's say your goal is to have better health, that you're concerned you're gaining weight, and it may affect your heart health, your metabolic health, your brain health. And you ask yourself, well, why am I overweight? Well, I'm just going to eat fewer desserts. Or you haven't even thought that much. I'm going to eat less food. And then you find you're really hungry. You haven't broken it down into baby steps of how you're going to get there.
Yeah, speaking to you as somebody who is half my former body weight, I used to be 360 pounds, and you
Wow.
don't just get that way by blinking overnight. I'm in my 180s right now, but my
Congratulations.
thing
That's
is,
great.
thank you. It's been a bunch of years, thankfully, but a lot of good help from psychiatrists like yourself who got me there for real. And I found, by the way, going to the psychiatrist helped me even way more than the weight loss centers. You need to address what's in here to work out
Well,
everything else.
well,
Very
Ken,
important.
can we just pause on? Can we
Please.
pause on
Yes.
that note? That's an interesting. Going to the psychiatrist helped, because that meant that you were looking into yourself and what triggers you to eat the wrong food. How can you create habits that make a difference? I think that's the other thing is we want to change, but we don't give ourselves enough time to create the new habits. You can say, I'm going to go jogging tomorrow, and great, you jog tomorrow, but what about the next day? How are you going to do it there? How can you break it down so it becomes easy and fits in with your current lifestyle?
And so, doctor, you talk about the SMART goal framework to help reset a resolution. Discuss what that's about.
So that's really it's a mnemonic to help you remember how to break down goals for change. So the acronym is SMART. So the S stands for specific. What is your specific goal? You're going to say, well, I'm going to lose 10 pounds in a week. Maybe that's certainly specific, but it may not be realistic. So when you get to specificity, you got to find goals that make sense. Maybe a pound a week would make sense. And that gets to the M, which stands for measurable. How can you measure that goal? And certainly weight makes it easy. But what about other goals? Let's say you want to improve your memory. How are you going to measure that? And there are ways to do that as well. And A stands for achievable. And I kind of brought this up a bit with the S and the specific, but you have to find goals that will be not so overwhelming, that will make sense. And that will help you to feel good about what you're achieving. If I say I'm going to lose 10 pounds in a day, I'm going to set myself up for failure. I'm going to feel bad. I'm going to have a lot of retribution against myself. If I say it's 1 pound in a week, I get on that scale and I see I've lost it, that feels good. It reinforces it. Now, the R stands for relevant. Does it have meaning in your life? And what is the reason that you want to change? If you're losing weight, sure, a lot of people want to lose weight because they want to look better. They want to fit better in their clothes. That's fine. Or maybe you want to lose weight because of health reasons. So get clear with how it's relevant and meaningful for your life. And then the T stands for time bound. So you have the measurable outcome, but you also have a time bound goal.
Yes. I mean, I remember going to the psychiatrist and telling the psychiatrist what I wanted to do and what the way I was going to achieve it. And I said, well, I enjoy 2 martinis a day. I'm not going to change that. He said, okay, now you have to make a decision. You're going to lose weight. You're going to drink your 2 martinis a day. It's up to you. So ultimately I stopped drinking 10 years ago. I never looked back, but I gave it up entirely. But it takes somebody to hold up the mirror
Yes.
and kind of show you what the issues are inside. Doctor, we have about a minute left. I want to make sure we get a website up so people can find out more about your program and more about you, and so they can look into themselves more.
Oh, a website? Well, I've written over a dozen books, and you can find out more about that at drgarysmall.com, drgarysmall.com.
I love it. I love it. Dr. Gary Small, Director of Behavioral Health Breakthrough Therapies at Hackensack Meridian Health. We appreciate you very much, Doctor. Thank you for coming on, and please come back again.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. You bet. It is now 8:42. When we come back, fear is something we all face, but how can we deal with it when we're in business? Sunshine today, few clouds later. It'll be windy and cold, highs in the low 20s, and bitter cold again tonight. Meteorologist Mike Favetta returns with a full Garden State forecast. We're coming right back.
Play it like the New York Sirens. Live in the spotlight. Etch your name in lights. Embrace the noise. And when it calls you, turn it up. Get louder. Play it like they'll hear us everywhere. Because this is our team. New York Sirens. Play it big.
Welcome back to On New Jersey Mornings. I'm Ken Rosato at 8:45. We will take your calls at 888-658-0234. Lots of sun today, few clouds later. Meteorologist Mike Favetta has the all-important Garden State forecast.
This weather is brought to you by Audio Nova, your hearing experts, serving all of New Jersey with 13 locations.
All right, Mike, everybody wants to know, we going to get walloped this weekend?
I think just at the coast, maybe a little bit of a plowable snow. If you find yourself south of, say, Tom's River, and even toward Atlantic City and Cape May, those are the areas that may see some substantial snow. North and west of the Turnpike, you see next to nothing this weekend, just due to the position and timing of the storm and how quickly it moves. Even though it's a very powerful system, the track takes it too far out east to really impact most of New Jersey. So you see the darker shades of blue here that extend down toward the coast. Northwestern New Jersey gets absolutely nothing from this system, especially north and west of 287. And look, by Monday morning, it's all the way out to sea. So very far to our east. So yes, there could be an accumulation down the shore at the coast, but beyond that, it's just a cloudy Sunday and very cold, with the afternoon highs only making it to the 20s, overnight lows starting in the teens, and the wind chill below zero. Into next week, the first week of February, very cold, even at the shore, with temperatures only reaching 35 as a high on Tuesday. There's our snow down the shore for the shore point. So plenty of chilly weather, Ken. Coldest air of the season tonight into tomorrow, and then all eyes on Sunday for that snow at the shore.
All right, Mike. Fortunately, looking better by the minute. Let's hope it stays that way, but never let your guard down because Mother Nature could chuckle, right? Mother Nature has a way of always winning out. All right, sir, we will check you again. Hey, have a good weekend. Hopefully it won't
You
be a
too.
busy one for you. Thank you. It is now a balmy 12 degrees in northern New Jersey, 8 degrees right now in Trenton. It is 10 degrees in Cape May down the shore. Nice and warm. But if you're thinking about going to warmer climes in Southern California, oh, darn it, they just took off their temperature. It is 49 degrees in Los Angeles. Of course, it's sunrise now there. And in South Florida, 71. Yay. All right. In terms of traffic, let's go over to the Garden State Parkway, shall we? We still have a little issue. This is in the area of exit 133 by the Colonia service area. This is just volume now. Earlier, there was a crash. It's been cleared up. So right now, it's just the residual volume making your way southbound by the Colonia service area. 133 on the Garden State Parkway. Other areas just to be aware of, we have a water main break, Route 10, eastbound Micro Lab Road in Livingston, all lanes closed. Again, that's on the eastbound side. I-78 eastbound east of exit 13, Route 173, Union Township, the right lane and right shoulder are closed. Delays now at the Holland Tunnel. It's just volume, about 35 minutes in, 30 minutes at the Lincoln. GWB upper and lower levels still very heavy. That's been the messy spot all morning. Strange camera shot they gave us right there. What is that, Pam? I guess that's the lower level on the right they're showing us from the back. That's weird that they changed that shot right now. They flipped the camera shot. So that's the lower level. You can see it's basically bumper to bumper. That's going to cost you, they're telling us 45 in. Can't make out what the upper level's doing right now, but I'm sure it's not that much better. It's the sun glare on the, where it says, where it says mornings on the left, goes straight above that. That's supposed to be the upper level. It's kind of hard to see because of the sun glare, but they're telling us 45 minutes in. All right. 8:48 is our time, and fear is something we all face, but in leadership and in business, it can show up in some surprising ways. Melanie Borden is the founder and brand strategist of the Borden Group and author of Theater of the Mind. It explores how fear is just a story that our mind creates under pressure. Very interesting. We say good morning to Melanie.
Good morning.
I love the way you step outside the box and analyze this all, because it's we all have fear, right? Fear is part of survival instinct, but you step back and say, well, what is fear? Why do we have it? It's a chemical reaction. We all respond to it. What is it? So your book talks about fear showing up in leadership as hesitation rather than panic. So what does that mean?
So earlier on, when I started the work that I do, what I started noticing with very accomplished senior level executives is that they had this fear of going to market, whether it was talking on LinkedIn, going on podcasts, even talking to me about their accomplishments. And so as I started working more and more with these executives, I started noticing and just breaking it down and seeing that fear, although they had already been so accomplished, was really overriding everything that they were doing. And in addition to that, it was almost as if internally hadn't caught up to their career trajectory at that point.
Mm-hmm. And people tend to not move forward because they overthink, don't they? They always say, well, I want to get it just right. Well, that first impression, I don't want to ruin it. So what they end up doing is just delay, delay, delay.
Right, exactly. So it could be delaying, it could be referring it to somebody else on their team, having someone in marketing handling it for them, coming up with reasons why their board might not necessarily approve of it. There are so many different hesitation tactics, but ultimately, what it comes down to is it's fear of being seen, fear of being judged, fear of what other people might think of them. And overall, just the fear overrides everything.
And you rename fear as a story that the mind creates under pressure rather than a signal to stop. Explain that for everybody.
Exactly. So what will happen is it's something as simple as think about, with the snowstorm that we just had in New Jersey.
Mm.
Well, I might not necessarily have hired someone to plow my driveway because of the fact that I might not want to pay somebody $200 or $300 to plow my driveway. So I'm just going to wait and I'm going to delay it, and I'm going to delay it until I start seeing outside that it's snowing out and I really need to have my driveway taken care of. So a lot of times it's just delaying the inevitable and just delaying the next phase of what is eventually going to happen, which eventually I need to have my driveway cleared.
Okay. But right, so you get to cut right to the quick and say, all right, here's the point. We got to get to this point. Stop the fear. And when you recognize fear then as a story, what's the key to pushing yourself over the hump and moving forward?
Action. Action is the antidote to anything. You just have to move through it and you just have to take that next step. So whether it's going and posting on LinkedIn, going on a morning show, going onto a podcast, you have to take the next step in that fear.
Yeah, I'm just thinking back to myself when I first started in broadcasting. I've been doing it over 40 years. And I was at Channel 7, I was at Channel 55, Channel 5. And I remember people would say, you sit on that set for the first time, you're talking to a million people. How do you do it? I said, you just do it. You just do it, right? You take a deep breath and you do it. And you know that once you start with the first sentence, the rest of it just goes. You just have to do it. I mean, Nike said it best, just do it. Do you have any stories of leaders or entrepreneurs who've turned fear into action? You can give us some examples.
Yeah, absolutely. So there was someone I've done over the course of the last 4.5 years that I've been at the helm of my company. I have had probably close to 1,000 discovery calls. And the one thing that I always see over and over again, and really what inspired me to write this book, was the people who I would talk to and he would say to me, I don't know if I can do this. I don't want to be an influencer. I'm not sure that this is the right move for me. How is this going to turn into some viable business for my company or help us get to where we need to be with the product that we're launching? And one of our clients in particular had come to me, and he has 14 businesses in the Southeast. And he had said, I need to be the one front and center for my company. I need to be the one that my employees look to. I need to make sure that we're bringing in not only new clients, but new employees. We need employee acquisition and we need to retain our existing employees. And so it was something that we had started with just posting on LinkedIn and making some advisory recommendations on what podcasts to go on to and what other types of content that him and or his team could be publishing. And long story short, he grew his firm by from about 150 people to over 200 people over the course of the 2 years that we've been working together. And he has one of the highest in the engineering industry employee retention numbers that's out there. So it just goes to show that if you have a specific goal, if there's something that you're looking to achieve, you can absolutely achieve it by setting a goal and then just moving past the fear. Because initially, a lot of times what people think is, no, I don't know if people want to hear from me, because they're thinking about themselves and they might not necessarily be thinking about who they are to others and what type of role model or inspiration to others that they're also providing.
Yeah, most people, what I've discovered in my years is most people with fear, it's about fear of judgment and criticism and fear of failure. And once you realize that judgment from others shouldn't matter, and failure is just an opportunity to learn, to move forward and accomplish an even greater goal the next time. The most successful people on the planet failed, right? They've all failed. Every major corporate leader, the owner, Jeff Bezos, failed a bunch of times. You're doing okay right now. So how does learning to manage fear rather help us to achieve those bigger goals? Is it basically that?
Yeah, it's just you have to just take the action. You just have to do it. You have to do it. You have to make the mistakes, and you have to make yourself the person that other people can look to and say, okay, well, if they can do it, I can do it too. And it's just a matter of continuing the process and continuing to refine and learning from those mistakes. Like you just said, all those examples that you just gave, every single person who has had any sort of success has had to go through something. They've made mistakes. They just have.
What is a and it's true, 100%. Look in history. Every person, George Washington, big failure a whole bunch of times, and he did pretty well. What is a website for more information, Melanie?
My company website is called humantobrand.com. That's where you can learn more about my advisory firm and also my book, Theater of the Mind.
That's it. The name of the book again, Theater of the Mind, author Melanie Borden, founder and brand strategist of the Borden Group. Thank you for coming on today. Stay warm.
Thank you.
Bet. Fascinating. That's it. Just don't fear. If you have fear, put it aside. Just ignore it and move forward because everybody gets judged and everybody fails. You just have to accept that. Once you accept that, you'll be okay. Meteorologist Mike Favetta says we'll have sunshine today. A few clouds later, it'll be windy and cold. Highs low 20s. Bitter cold again tonight. And that's on New Jersey Mornings for your Thursday, January 29th, 2026. I'm Ken Rosato. Remember, you could stream us at onnj.com. On the West Coast, you could watch us now with Mornings with Ken Rosato at onlaca.com on LACA, as in Los Angeles, California. Catch us on Roku, Fire TV, News On, Samsung TV Plus, Apple TV, YouTube, Facebook, and X. And now we're streamed live on Substack, Rumble, Twitch, and Local Now. We'll catch you again tomorrow morning starting at 7 a.m. Again, meteorologist Mike Favetta saying the winter storm's still headed our way, but it looks like it's going to be more of a coastal thing. South and east by the water, we'll get some snow. Keep tuned. It may change in the next day, but it looks like if you're inland, you'll get mostly high winds, and that's what you're going to have to look out for. Tell all your friends about us. We want to bring in nice new viewers as we can. Until tomorrow morning at 7 o'clock. Stay warm and have a wonderful day. Thanks for watching on New Jersey Mornings.